I always knew silence could be loud, but nothing compares to the way that front door mocked me. I stood there, jet-lagged, suitcase in hand, blinking at a lock that had been changed without a word of warning. I twisted the key again, pointless. My fingers trembled, more from disbelief than the October wind cutting through my suit. Then came the notification. My phone buzzed like it had something funny to say. A message from her, sent from inside my living room. It read, "I'm with a real man now. Don't come back." No name. No explanation. Just that. Cold. Final. For a moment, I stared at the screen, trying to process the sheer disrespect. Then I laughed. I actually laughed, right there on the porch of the house I paid for, in the neighborhood I chose, outside the home I built with her. And now some stranger was probably in there, on my couch, wearing my robe, stroking my dog. I didn't ring the bell. Didn't call. Didn't bang the door down. I simply turned, walked down the steps, and drove away. But 5 days later, her entire life began to collapse. Let me take you back. Her name is Alyssa. My wife, or, I guess, was. She's the type of woman who walks into a room and commands it, heels sharp enough to slice glass, smile calculated to draw blood. When I met her, I thought I found fire in human form. Turns out, I married a forest fire, and I was the damn fuel. My name is Jason Miller, 38, executive strategist, built everything from scratch. Discipline was my religion. Loyalty was my code. And Alyssa? She was the one exception I made to every rule. We were married for 6 years. No kids, her choice. Too much of a commitment, she'd laugh. Funny. Marriage apparently wasn't. I should have seen it coming. 3 months before the locks changed, she started acting different. More makeup to run errands. Her phone never left her hand, even in the shower. She laughed too hard at texts she wouldn't show me. And the perfume? Stronger. Too strong. The kind of scent you don't wear to Target. You wear it when you're trying to leave a memory on someone else's pillow. I asked her once, calmly, "Is there someone else?" She blinked, smirked. "What are you, insecure now?" "That's not attractive, babe." And like an idiot, I backed off. Gave her space. Because that's what partners do. The conference in San Diego came up. 3 days, full schedule. She didn't even kiss me goodbye. Just said, "Good luck making boring people feel important." I should have known right then. But I had no idea I was flying across the country so she could play house with another man in mind. You know what's worse than betrayal? It's surgical betrayal. The kind that's planned. She didn't just cheat. She orchestrated it. Waited until she knew my flight schedule, then replaced me while I was giving a keynote speech on loyalty and trust. You can't make this up. The second I saw that message on my phone, something inside me shifted. Not broken, just recalibrated. There's a moment where pain burns so hot, it freezes. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even angry. I was clear. She thought she'd ended the story. But all she did was hand me the pin. And that's when the real story started. Because by day 5, she had no idea what I was setting in motion behind the scenes. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I built something much colder than revenge. I built a reckoning. After she changed the locks and sent that message, I didn't respond. No angry text. No calls. Silence is a language she never learned to understand, and that's exactly why I used it. But in that silence, I started rewinding everything in my head. Every odd moment. Every lie she dressed as sarcasm. Every red flag I painted white. The first sign should have been the new gym membership. Alyssa hated sweating. Always said, "Why should I destroy my makeup just to look tired?" Then one day, out of nowhere, she's wearing Lululemon like a second skin and doing Pilates 3 times a week. Except I noticed her location never once pinged at the gym. Not once. Then there were the networking dinners. She claimed her company was expanding, and they needed her to wine and dine new partners. Funny, I never saw a single business card. Just blurry selfies of wine glasses and candlelight. Her phone, God, that phone. Locked tighter than Fort Knox. Once, she forgot it on the kitchen counter when she went to shower. I picked it up instinctively. Not even to snoop. Just to check the time. She bolted out of the bathroom like it was a bomb I just activated. "Respect my privacy," she screamed. I remember freezing, my hand still holding the phone, thinking, when did this become war? But I let it go. Every damn time, I let it go. Because that's what we're taught, right? Trust your wife. Don't be controlling. Don't be that guy. Well, guess what? That guy was right. I should have been him. The thing about betrayal is it never starts loud. It begins with whispers. The kind you dismiss at first, until they echo louder than your own instincts. She started treating me like an inconvenience. Every conversation was a battle. Every kiss felt like charity. She rolled her eyes more than she smiled. I remember once I made her breakfast, something I hadn't done in a while. French toast, strawberries, even fresh squeezed orange juice. She looked at the plate like it was a dead rat. Too many carbs, she muttered, then shoved it aside and left for a strategy meeting. She wasn't pulling away. She was already gone. I just hadn't caught up yet. So when I stood there, outside the house we once called ours, knowing there was another man inside, probably wrapped in the silk sheets I bought her last Valentine's Day, I didn't explode. I became still. I got in my car and started making calls. Not to her. To my lawyer. To my financial advisor. To my security guy, Sam. Because if she wanted war, she just declared it in my own damn castle. And she forgot one very important thing. I built everything. And I don't lose. The first night after the lockout, I didn't sleep. Not even a minute. I wasn't on a friend's couch. I wasn't in some cheap hotel crying into a pillow. I booked the presidential suite at the Fairmont downtown. I laid on the king-sized bed with floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the city blink below me, thinking, calculating, remembering. I wasn't mourning a woman. I was reviewing the evidence. And what I saw disgusted me. My wife, Alyssa, wasn't a victim of temptation. She wasn't seduced or confused. No. She was methodical, surgical. She planned this. She turned our home into a theater. And the worst part? I didn't even know I was the audience. I started to pull records. Bank charges. Card GPS logs. Phone call history. She thought I wouldn't notice that her yoga retreat in Napa had a $780 charge at an oceanfront hotel in Santa Barbara. Not exactly downward dog. And then came the kicker, the security footage. I still had remote access to the doorbell cam. She must have forgotten. I watched it 3 times. Tuesday, 3:12 p.m. Alyssa exits the house in a red dress I'd never seen before. 5-inch heels. Hair curled like it's date night. Then, a black Range Rover pulls up. Out comes him. I didn't recognize him. You'd think if your wife is going to detonate your life, she'd cheat with someone taller, smarter, richer, anything. But this guy? Looked like a washed-up personal trainer from a failed reality show. Cheap suit. Cocky grin. Like he'd already moved in. He kissed her, my wife, before she even opened the gate. And she laughed. Loud. Careless. Happy. That's when something inside me snapped. Not emotionally. Strategically. This wasn't heartbreak. This was a hostile takeover. And I don't lose in business. She wanted to throw me out of my own life? Fine. I'd return the favor permanently. The next morning, I moved fast. First, I froze the joint accounts. I left just enough in her card to let her swipe once at Starbucks, then declined. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. I contacted my attorney, Grant Walters, a shark in a suit. We'd drawn up a postnup 3 years ago. Alyssa signed it, drunk off martinis and my promise that we'd never need it. She was about to learn why lawyers love optimism. Then came the locksmith. I sent him to the lake house. She forgot that property was still in my name only. It wasn't big, but it had value. And I knew she kept her designer bags and secret stash of champagne there. I changed the locks on her little getaway spot. She thought she was clever changing my home's locks? I just made her homeless again. But I wasn't done. Not even close. BY day 3, she still hadn't reached out. Not a word. No apology. No explanation. She truly thought she'd won. That told me everything I needed to know. Alyssa didn't just betray me, she was proud of it. She paraded that man around like some kind of prize, like she'd upgraded from a Rolex to a diamond-studded crown. What she didn't realize is that crown was made of tin, and the man, nothing more than a paper line. I knew her patterns. She was predictable in all the ways that matter. Every Friday, she'd go to that same little bistro on 9th Street with her girls. Except now I knew better. There were no girls. Just one guy. So I sent someone. Sam, my security consultant, was ex-military. Quiet, precise, invisible when he needed to be. I didn't need drama. I needed information. He sat 2 tables away, blending in with the crowd. Took pictures. Recorded audio. Sent me a folder marked Friday night, the Queen and her clown. I opened the video file and there they were, Alyssa and her real man. He had his hand on her thigh, whispering something into her ear while she laughed that fake laugh she used to give me when she wanted something. And then, the cherry on top, she handed him a new watch. A Rolex. My Rolex. My blood went cold. That wasn't just betrayal, it was theft. I zoomed in on the engraving. For J. Miller, time never stops. A gift from my board after we hit 10 million in net growth. She gave it to him like it meant nothing. Like I meant nothing. It was no longer about emotions now. This was a game of power. And I was about to flip the board. That night, I called my lawyer again. Pull the clause. The one about infidelity. He whistled. Are you sure? Dead sure, I said. I want everything triggered. Now. See, that postnup? It had a very specific clause. If she was caught in an affair, with proof, she lost all rights to joint property. House. Cars. Accounts. Even the dog. She signed it back when she thought she'd never need to worry. Now? She was about to find out exactly what that signature meant. The next morning, the papers were filed. Infidelity clause engaged. Court-ordered freeze on assets. Notice to vacate the property she was squatting in, my home. And a lawsuit for conversion of stolen property. Yes, I included the watch. I didn't rage. I didn't shout. I weaponized the very structure she tried to tear down. By the time she opened her designer fridge for almond milk and saw the power shut off, she finally called me. Blocked.it happened on a Wednesday. I was in a meeting with 2 international partners when my assistant, Rachel, buzzed through. There's a woman in reception. She's refusing to leave. I didn't need to ask who. Only one person would have the audacity to storm into my office building in 6-inch heels and a desperate perfume cloud. I stepped out of the glass conference room just as she turned. Alyssa. She looked like a woman who'd bet everything and lost the house. Makeup smeared. Hair frizzed. The kind of expression that only forms when a carefully curated world begins to crack. She didn't say my name. She just blurted, "Why would you do this to me?" I laughed, quietly. Do this to you? You changed the locks and sent a breakup text from my couch. You want sympathy now? She stepped closer. That was different. That was about us. You're ruining my life. I folded my arms. Sweetheart, I didn't ruin anything. You handed me the matches and poured the gasoline yourself. She started to cry. Big, dramatic sobs that used to work on me. Not anymore. I didn't know he'd just vanish, she whispered. That caught my attention. Wait, he left? I asked. She nodded, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. Said he wasn't ready for all this. Pressure. The bills, the responsibility. He thought I had money. I blinked once. So your real man ran when the check came? She flinched like I slapped her. Jason, please. Just give me a chance to explain. I made a mistake. No, I cut in. You made a choice. Don't you dare insult both of us by calling it a mistake. The people in the lobby were watching now, whispering. I didn't care. Let them see. Let them witness how quickly the mighty fall. You don't understand, she pleaded. I have nowhere to go. I lost the lake house. I can't even access my account. My parents think I'm insane. I just need to suffer, I said flatly. You need to suffer. She froze. You don't mean that. Oh, but I do, I whispered. Every tear, every sleepless night you gave me, I want it multiplied in your life. And if that makes me the villain in your story, then so be it. I'll wear that crown proudly. Her jaw dropped. For once in her life, Alyssa had no comeback. She turned and stormed toward the exit, heels echoing like gunshots. Just before she reached the door, I said one last thing. You might have changed the locks, Alyssa, but you locked yourself out of everything. She paused, but didn't turn back. That was the last time I saw her face in person. The next time I heard her name was in court. Court is cold. Not in temperature, but in tone. There's no room for feelings there, only facts, signatures, and timelines. Which is exactly why I felt at home. I walked into the courtroom 3 weeks after that lobby scene, calm and polished in a tailored navy suit. Alyssa? She showed up in a beige dress that tried too hard to look modest. No designer labels this time. No heels. Just flats and trembling hands. She looked smaller. Good. She sat across from me at the petitioner's table, her new lawyer flipping through papers like he hadn't been paid enough to care. Maybe he hadn't. I knew she couldn't afford anyone close to the caliber of mine. Grant Walters was a legal machine wrapped in sarcasm. The judge entered. The bailiff called order. And like that, the dismantling began. The first hit? The postnup. Grant stood up and slid the document across the table like a winning poker hand. Signed, notarized, witnessed. Clause 7b, marital misconduct through infidelity leads to forfeiture of joint property and assets. Alyssa tried to object. Her voice cracked. I didn't understand what I was signing at the time. Grant didn't even look at her. Your Honor, she had 3 glasses of wine, not a lobotomy. Laughter murmured through the gallery. The judge raised a brow but said nothing. Then came the evidence. Photos, videos, card statements, GPS logs, the doorbell cam footage. All dated, all damning. Alyssa sat frozen as each exhibit was presented, her face draining of whatever color she had left. I watched her eyes. She didn't blink, didn't move, didn't speak. When her lawyer finally stood to respond, he fumbled. Oh, my client was under emotional stress. She felt neglected. Grant didn't even stand to reply. And she responded by squatting in his home with another man, using his money, his property, and his dog. The judge sighed, clearly done. I've seen enough. Hammer. Silence. Ruling. In favor of the petitioner, me. Alyssa forfeited all rights to the house, the secondary property, joint investments, and the car I gifted her last year. Even the dog, Max, was officially awarded to me. She was left with a suitcase, a laptop, and a 5-figure legal bill. As the courtroom emptied, she tried one last time. Jason, she whispered, voice dry, eyes glassy. You really hate me that much? I turned slowly, looked her dead in the face, and said, no. Hate takes effort. What I feel is nothing. And that's worse. Then I walked out. Sunlight hit me on the courthouse steps like a spotlight. Not victorious. Just free. And freedom, it turns out, feels a lot like silence. Except this time, it didn't hurt. Life after betrayal is strangely quiet. No angry texts. No slammed doors. No footsteps pacing the hallway at midnight. Just silence. Real, uninterrupted silence. And for the first time in a long time, it was peaceful. After court, Alyssa disappeared. I heard whispers. She moved in with a friend temporarily, tried to crash at her sister's, maybe even went crawling back to her parents. No one really wanted her. Not now. Not after everything she did became public record. I never said a word to mutual friends. I didn't need to. The truth had its own legs. Once the photos leaked, her laughing in my backyard, kissing her affair partner in my robe, it was over for her socially. Her old friend group? Gone. The couples we used to host? Siding with me. Even her yoga instructor unfollowed her. Alyssa burned every bridge with a gallon of gasoline and a smug smile. Now she was trying to swim back across the ashes. Not my problem. I focused on rebuilding. Not just my finances, which, honestly, had never been better, but my sense of self. I redecorated the house. Removed every trace of her. New paint, new furniture, even new silverware. You'd be surprised how satisfying it is to throw away a plate someone once used to insult you over dinner. I started waking up early again. Lifting heavier. Eating cleaner. The physical transformation wasn't the goal, but it came anyway. One morning, I looked in the mirror and didn't just see a survivor. I saw a man who rebuilt himself from the ground up. But healing isn't always linear. Some nights I'd lie in bed and wonder, was any of it ever real? Did she love me even a little? Or was I just the stepping stone between her ambition and her next fantasy? I never got those answers. But I learned something better. I didn't need them. What mattered wasn't why she did it. What mattered was that I refused to let it define me. One night, I ran into someone at a charity gala. Her name was Melissa. Divorced. Smart. Soft laugh. Eyes that didn't hide things. We talked for hours, about everything and nothing. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel guarded. I didn't feel like I had to look over my shoulder for lies and high heels. She wasn't a replacement. She was just different. Real. That night, as I walked her to her car, she smiled and said, "You're not like other guys I've met lately. You seem clear." I smiled back. "Pain either poisons you or purifies you," I said. I chose the second. She kissed me goodnight. Soft, slow. No games. No power plays. Just a moment. And in that moment, I realized something. Alyssa broke the man I was. But in doing so, she helped build the man I was always meant to be. It's been 11 months since that message lit up my phone. I'm with a real man now. Sent from my living room. Sent from my life. Back then, those words felt like a bullet. Now, just background noise and a story I outgrew. I've learned something about pain. It either anchors you or fuels you. I chose to burn it and use the heat to rise. Alyssa tried to erase me. Change the locks. Replace the man. Take the house. The life. The future we built. But what she never understood, what she'll never understand, is that a man who builds his world from nothing doesn't panic when someone tries to take it. He rebuilds. Better. Stronger. And this time, smarter. After the court ruling, she filed one desperate appeal. Denied. Then came the apology email, 5 paragraphs of poetic nonsense that read more like a marketing pitch than remorse. I didn't reply. Some people don't deserve closure. A few months ago, I heard she tried starting a lifestyle blog. It tanked. Then she got a job at a luxury boutique. Fired after 3 weeks for conflict with management. The last whisper I heard? She moved states. Changed her last name. Probably trying to outrun her reputation. But you can't outrun truth. You can't outrun the person who remembers everything. And me? I didn't just remember, I documented. You know what's funny? The man she left me for? Never even had a job. Lived off short-term gigs and borrowed charm. The moment her card declined and her friends vanished, so did he. Turns out, real men don't run when the lights go out. They build when there's nothing left. Today, my life doesn't just look different, it feels different. I sleep deeply. I laugh louder. I stopped looking over my shoulder and started looking ahead. Melissa and I? We're not rushing. We're healing, learning, unlearning. She knows my story. Not the gory details, just enough. Enough to respect the scars without needing to touch them. And me? I learned the most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's evolution. So here's my advice to anyone walking the road I did. Don't chase closure. Don't beg for the truth. Don't try to fix someone who broke you on purpose. Instead, go silent. Go calm. Go cold, if you must. But whatever you do, don't let betrayal define you. Let it refine you. I'm not the man who came home from a business trip to find the locks changed and a message waiting. I'm the man who turned that message into motivation. Who turned heartbreak into blueprint. Who turned pain into peace. And when I pass by that house now, the one I once called home, I don't feel rage. I feel nothing. And that's how I know I won.